Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we get into this big, exciting Grimoire Book of Shadows discussion and show and tell, I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone that reached out to me about my last video. It's just thank you so much. I really enjoyed connecting with all of you, listening to everyone's story. I really appreciate that very intimate and very vulnerable place that we're all in, and I really appreciate that. I'm definitely going to keep you guys posted in videos to let you know how I'm doing. But back to this topic, because I'm so excited about this video. This grimoire that I'm going to show you has really helped me through my depression and having something to focus on and to really put all my intention in, and it's been great. And so if you do like these videos and you like these show and tell do-it-yourself videos, grimoire, magical stuff, let me know at the little thing at the bottom, the comment thing, what kind of videos you like, what kind of things you want me to talk about or experience or stuff like that. I really appreciate it. So again, don't forget to like, subscribe these videos, and share with your friends. With that said, let's get into this topic. So I have done quite a lot of different Book of Shadows in my past. I'm 31 years old now. I started my path when I was 13. My Book of Shadows at the time, because it was the only thing I could afford and was accessible to me, was these composition books. Those were the shit. Those were the shit. Those were my to-go-to diaries. Those were my to-go-to sketchbooks, journals, everything. So that became such a big thing for me, which I'm sure a lot of you as well. And then I kind of graduated to spiral notebooks because it had these cool little dividers in there. And then I went into 3-ring binders. And then from then, which I'll link the videos again down below, of the kind of different ideas I kind of gave you guys in terms of just switching things up, trying different things. And so I have done in the past an online Book of Shadows, which that one, it was a little easier for me because it was just kind of, you create these notebooks, you just drag and cut from the internet different articles, different things that you wanted to keep. The idea of it was really cool because I felt like, if I really want to just access something very quickly, I could do it on my phone, I could do it on my iPad. It was just simple. But at the same time, it wasn't really what I needed. And so that kind of just kept going through, what is it that I really need? I've done the whole transforming and giving a new book life by taking a book that I don't use anymore, like a published book, and creating that as my Book of Shadows by, pasting and painting different things in a book. And that was really great. The only thing with everything that I've done so far, everything falls apart. I think I put too much stuff in them. And so that was really great, but the more I added stuff to the book, the more it started to rip the binding. And I was like, I can't keep doing this to myself. I can't keep putting so much love and work into it, and it's falling apart and all my stuff is ripping. So I was just like, I need and then, like, what is it that I need? Then I've also done the same thing with the other Book of Shadows that I've done that I showed on Facebook. The same thing happened. I did a lot of really cool ink work. That was the Book of Shadows. I did a lot of my Morgan work, and that fell apart. And I was kind of like, at this point, do I really want a Book of Shadows? And I was like, yes, I do, because I feel like it's just such an honor and privilege to have one, because it's very special. It's just an evolution of a diary. I had a diary when I was a kid. I actually had two. I had one that I kept out in the open, like a decoy diary, and then I had one that I'll hide. And that was like the one where I was actually questioning a lot about my sexuality, questioning a lot about my practice and stuff. So that Book of Shadows for me just evolved into that, into something where I could even express my art and express poems and just all kinds of stuff. And so they're really special to me, which is, it just feels like it's a rite of passage to have one in your practice. Not saying that you have to have one. It's just, for me, it was just that pivotal moment of like, I get my little witch badge, and I get my pentacle necklace, and then I get my book of shadows, and I'm like, yeah, it's just one of those moments. So I want to talk to you about this new one. So like I said, this one that I decided to call Grimoire, because I've never called my book Grimoire before, and I just felt like it was such a refreshing, I mean, I love the way it rolls out of your mouth like that, but it's just a very refreshing take, especially because I've been working with the God aspect, with the goddess aspect in terms of duality and harmony and balance. And so I wanted to give it a fresh, something different than my normal Book of Shadows. So I wanted to share, first off, a little bit of things that I've learned in the journeys of creating these books. I've learned the types of pens to use and types of not to use, the type of paper. So the number one thing you want to ask yourself when creating one is what the purpose of it is. Are you looking for something that has just all the information you need at your fingertips and in depth, or very quick, bullets of just like very easy information at your fingertips? Because that really does help of how big of book you need. A little pre-warning, I don't recommend someone, and this is with personal experience, I don't recommend buying a very big, expensive book and starting on that first, because mistakes are going to happen and you have to get used to that, and you change and evolve. So that's why I like composition books, notebooks, things that I could just, they're not that expensive, that doesn't hurt for me to move on from as I'm evolving. Down the road, I think I do want to invest in a really expensive book and put the actual things that I've learned throughout the years of my adulthood, going in more into like in my 40s, perhaps, of all the lessons learned. So that's down the road, but whatever floats your boat. But definitely think about what it is that you want this book to be about, and personalize it for you. One of the things that I've learned is that I don't like taking information from another place and just putting it down thinking that I need this information at some point, and then realizing that I kind of already knew it. It's kind of just common sense, witchy common sense. So then I was just like, oh, I kind of wasted space. But I think that there isn't really any wrong or right way to do it. It just becomes of a preference. And if you're anything like me, the moment I'm creating my book and then I see something else that inspires me, I no longer resonate with this book. So I've been really working throughout the years of things that, that I really like. Because I would really want, like all of us would want, a practical magic book that just looks very nightmarish and witchy. I mean, but at the same time, I'm like, just that, what am I going to learn from it besides just looking at it and being really like inspired from it? But it won't really hold a lot of my stuff. And so this time around, I really wanted to find a book that was going to be able to take the amount of, just to be resilient in the process, because I need something that's going to be able to take a lot of ink, that it's not going to be able to leak through a lot. I needed something that is going to be able to handle pen and erasing stuff. Like I really needed these pages to be thick enough to handle stuff that I was going to do to it. And through the years, I've kind of learned what pens to use, what not to use. Although, I'll give it to you, this is the first time that I'm using this kind of paper. So there's still learning experience in there, but I'm going to show you the types of pens and pencils and markers that I've used that don't leak. For pencils, I love just your typical lead pencil, the 0.5 pencils. This is a Pentel. And then just your white eraser. I have to do everything by pencil and making lines because I like things to look even and neat. Mistakes do happen, and so I just move past them. But doing everything in pencil, then going back and doing everything in pen is a lot of work, and it does take a lot of time, but at the same time, it is such a meditative process. And you really don't want to rush the stuff in your Book of Shadows because everything just looks really sloppy, and then you end up hating it. And I'm a very impatient person, so I really just want to just do the work, but at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm happy. So I would say if you resonate with it, go with pencil first so that you can kind of see what it looks like, make your changes, and then the final transition into pen. So the pens that I've been using, I highly recommend these Sharpie pens. They're bleed proof. They're these right here. They're $5. They come in 3. They're really nice in terms of like the clean lines, and they last a really long time. So having this for 3, you get your bargain's worth or your money worth. I really like them. Again, they don't go through the papers, and this is kind of like a thick but not so thick kind of paper, so I'm really happy with this. So these Sharpie ones are perfect. The next ones that I've used is if I want to get into kind of fine detail, like if I'm drawing, I want to use a very thin black pen, and so these Micron pens that are, this is a 01 Micron. I don't know if you can see it, but it's these. You can find them at Hobby Lobby, Walmart, Target. They usually come in a set of like 5 or 6, I think, at different little numbers. And so 01's my favorite because it's a very thin one, and it's easy for me to just like even just do like tracings and then go back with the darker black thicker one to do more of that detail. So this one helps and it doesn't leak. Another great one is these gold and silver pens by Pentel again. This is a metallic gel pen. They don't go through. They come usually in a silver and a gold. I already used up all my gold, so this is the last one, the silver. Again, these don't leak through your pages, so these are fantastic. These sets that I've just gotten, I got them at Michael's actually, and they're Recollection Signature Special pens, and these are metallics, and so you'll see them a lot in my book. They're really great. They come in gold, silver, and then this like bronze color. Fantastic. They give the book such a cool Renaissance, medieval, Gothic feel to it. Really high depth, metallic look, and they do not leak through, which I was really surprised because typically these like permanent markers, all permanent markers go through, especially if you're using the Sharpie kind. They always leak through because they're just so inky or juicy. These are the same, but they, as soon as they hit the paper, they dry automatically, so they don't get the opportunity to leak through. So I love these. And then again, for most of my detail, I just use this like jelly white to do some of the details, and again, any gel I think doesn't leak through. It kind of sits on the surface, and you have to let it dry for a little bit before you close your book or you smear it. So check the consistencies, test them out. Always test your pens on like a test paper. I've seen some people actually use the last page to test it, but which I'm going to show you a little bit of this new idea. I didn't have that option, so I kind of risked it. So some of the pages have a little bit of mistakes and bleed through, but that was just my pen journey. So I'm sharing that with you now so that you don't go through those mistakes. Also, if you want to add color to your Book of Shadows, these pens by Statler Trifus Fine Liners, they're these. These do not leak through. I was using these thin Sharpies that I noticed on my Sabat page that they leak through. So then I was like, let me just test these out, and they didn't leak through. Thank the goddess and God. They were awesome, and they just add the right enough color. They're very thin, so these don't take a lot of they're not really good to take big real estate in your book, like a big old circle and color. It's going to take you a while. But they're good for fine details, to just add little pops of color. And again, they don't leak through, and they're acid proof. I think this was acid proof. I have to double check. I think the only benefits of it being acid proof or whatever is that it's not going to eat up in your paper throughout time. Again, if you just want like a little faded color, these Crayolas. I love color pencils. I don't use crayons. I always go for this. These are great. Of course, they're not going to bleed through. And what I've noticed is that if the color's too color pencil-y, if that's a word, if you just very roughly or very softly go over it with the eraser, it leaves it like a very fine tint, and it's not so rough around the edges. It's actually really cool. For ink pads, I use a lot of gold and silver. So these ink pads here that you can get anywhere, these are perfect because they don't they're a little 3D, so the pad is actually a little bit more popped up. so you're not hitting this. You can use any kind of size of stamp. These are perfect. And then this one's actually old. It's a color box one in gold. This is great too. I use these for all kinds of projects. The one that I do warn you on is because I couldn't, at the time I just grabbed what was available, and it was this Office Depot gel stamp pad that does not need to be refilled. This one actually, if you do press really hard on the stamp and you try to press really hard on paper, it does bleed through. But if you just lightly tap it, because it's very concentrating, you lightly tap it on your paper, it's perfect. I've never had any major issues with it. Some bleed through as I'm learning my lessons. So that was just pretty much of everything that I'm using and that you get to see in this book. And so yeah, so I'm going to show you. I'm really, really excited. So I have it in this, which I actually want to sew the sides and make it like a little notebook thing, but it's my cover. So the idea behind it, before I reveal it, is that I wanted to introduce, again, the God and Goddess, the duality back into my Book of Shadows. But because for me, it literally is day and night, I wanted something that reflect that. And I was very inspired by the movie The Mummy, when they had the Book of the Dead and the Book of the Living, or if that's what they called it. And I liked that they looked so different, and so I wanted to do that, but in one book. And I was like, you know what, how can I do like a reversible book where it's like a tarot card where there's a positive meaning and the reversal is a different meaning, usually like a negative or just a pre-warning. I didn't want to go into like negative positive, but I did want that illusion of there's a reversal. So I'm going to show you just the covers before I move the camera down, and we'll go through some of the pages. I haven't done a lot. I mean, I've done a lot, but not fully into it. But the cover of it is really awesome, and I love it. So here's the cover for the God aspect, the sun. I've been working a lot with Carnunos, and I really love that aspect, and so I wanted to definitely bring the stag element into it. I did some of the embroidery here. It's super pretty and cool. This is actually like a copper magnet that I got at Michael's for $1. I just ripped out the little magnet in the back and then just glued it on here. And here's the cool part. So the reversal for this is the Goddess Morgan. Are you ready? Isn't that awesome? So it's the reversal of it. So it's really, really cool. And this one I found at Michael for like $3. It came in 3 sets. So it's this big crow with all these crystals, and there's like a little red crystal here. It came with another crow on top of a skeleton with the crystals, and then there's another one where there's just like a resting crow by itself with the same crystals. But it's really cool and shiny, and it's gorgeous. I love it. So I did the same design here in silver. So it has this effect. Super fucking badass. I'm so happy about the cover. So let's go ahead and just dive deep into it, because I'm so excited to share all this hard work that I've done. And I'm really excited. So I'm going to go ahead and move the camera so we can kind of see everything. I'm going to see how that's going to work. If it doesn't work out, then you're just going to see the footage with my phone. But yeah, let's get into it, and then I'm going to go into just detail about what's in it. Yay!
Alright guys, so I'm actually outside and on my phone because it was a lot easier. So I can kind of show you the details of the book. So here we're going to go into the God aspect with Carnunos, and which I'm going to go into a different video, talk about my experience and why I resonated with him in a different video for sure. But so this is a cover like you saw in the video, and when we open it, oh, isn't it gorgeous? So it's the Book of the Light, and I wanted to give it a very just like an old kind of, just an old vintage look. I'm trying not to add any stickers or stuff like I did in the other ones. I want everything to be hand drawn and sketched and written. So that's the goal with this book. So on here I have on these covers, back of covers, I have almost like the book's blessing, but it's actually with the charge. And so I have here, it says, "To the Lord of the Hunt, to the wild, dancing, mischievous masculine, to he who is born in the winter and dies with the leaves, to the soul guide and pathfinder, Kernunos. Lead my arrow true, fill me with virility, that I might stand strong and proud, travel far and sleep well, ride hard, sing loud, and drink deep of all that is set before me. So I found this one and I really resonated with it and I loved it. And so that's what I used. And you'll see in the Morrigan one, I couldn't find one that resonated once I created my own. But this is the drawing that I did of Kernunos, and I thought it came out so good. I was actually really nervous. I was like praying. I was like, please just show me the way that you want to be depicted. And this is how he came out, and I gave him a little bit of a touch, a kiss of the Morrigan with the red and black feathers on both antlers, the sun and the moon, and just a little bit of tribal, because you know me, I love all this tribal. And I put the, I think these are called torques, but yeah, so I put that. And this leaf here was actually the first leaf of the fall in my house, and so I saw it amongst all the green ones and I was like, oh my god, beautiful. So I put it in here, and of course I like the dots in here because it kind of fits in here. But this leaf was this feather was actually given to me by Feather Garden Bell, the witchy mommy. I purchased a couple things and she included that in there, so I think it's a real feather. I don't know where it's from, but I really liked it. It resonated and it fit, and so I really liked it. So the next page, and again on this side, this is going to be the reversal, so the goddess will be on this side like that, going down. And let me move a little bit so you can see. So we have, I am a child of the light, and it's just very simple. My rituals aren't very complex and full of like drama. But you can see here I did with a color pencil, and see how it looks very translucent, so the words could still be over it. Perfect. I actually wrote this first, and then I did the circle, the sun symbol, so it came out good. And then I have my little king there, and so I like that. I love that. And then we have the elemental page, and I just did very easy stuff like what I want to do for the element magic. I added the archangel. I added kind of like what is like to be silent. The creature, which is the gnomes. Then I added the planetary and astrology symbol, and then what chakra. So I did those for all of them. And so we have Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, and Metatron here. And then I really did this like mandala stamp in gold, and I think it came out really cute. So on the God aspect, I wanted to keep things all, I apologize for the shakiness. I want to keep things all earth-based and all things of the mundane, things of that, you know, spells about money, business, family, things of earthly desires and stuff. So this is this side, and then we get into the Morrigan side. It's more of psychic development, more of universal laws and all that sort of stuff. So we'll go into that. But then I have here the sabbats, and I'm going to move this a little bit this way. So we have the sabbats, and you'll find a lot of sigil work in here because I really wanted to use more of the symbolism and the sigil aspect of the occult in this book. So very simple, like you'll see in Samhain, it just says October 31st, 15 degrees in Scorpio, what symbol to use, what kind of magic I want to do for that day. Very, very simple, very clean. I love it. So that's just what that is, and it just works. It works for me. And you'll notice that this was the test, so I added the color here. And you'll notice on here I had that learning experiment of like, ooh, that lesson learned. But it's okay. So on here, the runes. And I do feel like the runes are a little bit more masculine. So I added them in the God section. And so here we have all the runes. I love this stamp. It's actually a raven on top of a skull, but I did this ombre effect with the black fading into gold. So yeah, I just have like the symbol, the name, and very brief description of it. And I think it came out really badass actually. So very, very cool. The next page I have is the colors, and I think it came out really good. I really like the colors. So some of you nerdy fans out there will recognize that these are not the normal color sigils for them. I don't resonate with the chakra kind of symbolisms, the things that they use to depict the chakras. I resonate with DC Universe in terms of the lantern core, like Green Lantern, and so I use their symbols as a chakras. Like we have the black lantern, we have the indigo lanterns, we have the blue lanterns, we have the yellow lanterns, the orange lanterns, the green lanterns, then we have the violet lanterns, then we have the red lanterns, and the white. And the rest I made myself in terms of just what I felt was going to be a part of the color. So again, the color, I kind of just wrote what I feel is the appropriate energies and magical workings according to that color correspondence. So I think that came out really cute. And I did the color pencil in the back and I erased it. So it just gives it a very faint, subtle approach to it. So really cool. So then here I did my crystals and my herbs, darling. I did my top 10 crystals, and then I did my top 10 herbs. So for crystals, I have amethyst, black obsidian, citrine, clear quartz, hematite. Then we have herkimer, rose quartz, selenite, smoky quartz, tiger's eye. So these are my must-have in my collection and the ones I use the most. But I added some extra new things that I've never used them for, and it just resonated with me, so I put them in there. And then for herbs, I have bay leaf, chamomile, cinnamon, lavender, mint, mugwort, rose, rosemary, sage, St. John's wort. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I use these herbs all the time. And this is the one I was working on that I posted on Instagram. It's the solar phases. So I did a little bit of solar magic here. And these are those markers I told you about. They're very shiny metallic and they just look so badass. And they don't bleed through. So I just did what I could do in terms of the solar magic, in terms of sunrise, afternoon, sunset, midnight, and then the solar eclipse. And so I thought that was really cool. So that's as far as I've gone into with this, because these pages do take a long time, especially the writing. And I do everything in pencil first, and then I trace everything. The way that they look right now is just kind of like where I feel okay to move on, but I think eventually I want to go in and add more occult symbols in the background. So that's as far as I got in the God aspect. So very cool, I think. And someone was asking me about my writing. I just picked a font that I really liked, and I just started copying it and tracing it until I kind of became my second writing style, I guess. And this one was a little bit easier because you just kind of draw the letters and then you just shade it all in black and it just comes out really badass. So yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and do the other side. So let's go ahead and flip it. Yes, looks so good. I love this. So here's a little bit close up of the little crystals if you can see them. Let me see. So it looks like that. You can see the little red gem there. Very cool. I really love the way it came out. So let's open it. So we have the Book of the Dark. I really loved it. I love how just the moon looks very, very like magical and very gothic, I think. So here is the chart. You can see the book is backwards, but I try to cover it, but it's not a big deal. It has some black feathers there in the corner. And this is the charge that I wrote myself. And so it says, to the lady of the battlefield, to the warrior, protector, sensual feminine, to she who calls to me in the dead of night, by wind, land, and sea, to the one who is three, and fights for me to be free, Morrigan. May you take me under your wing, honor me with sovereignty, sword and shield at the ready, to handle any and all challenges, fly high, run wildly, and swim freely. By your will, I breathe. So I tried to match it as the same style as the other one because I wanted it to match, but I couldn't find anything, so I wrote this one. I was really, really happy how it came out. And then I have my black feather here, and then we have the Morrigan here. So I actually drew her a little bit more seductress, a little more sensual, a little bit younger, a little more vamped. I normally don't do, I always depict her in so many different ways, but I chose this for her, actually for the god as well, to give him that both kind of maiden and kind of boy, young teenage feel, almost like them in their prime. And so, because that's kind of how I feel right now in my 30s, I feel like I'm in my prime. So I kind of like that a lot. And so let's move on. So we have I am a child of the dark. And again, very simple ritual. I don't get into very, like I said, dramatic, long kind of things. I did the silver moon in here underneath. I think it came out pretty cool. I did my little drawing there. Love it. Then we have into a little bit more of like astrology. And so I just have kind of like the hours, and so we have the hours of the day, and then we have Sunday to Saturday, and then we have the black for the day, the purple for night, of just the kind of like what energies to work with. And when you do spell work, I'm trying to really be a little bit more I guess more in depth in my magic and bring in more of the energies, astrology, and all this stuff. And so I have the signs, the elements, and the planets. Then I have what each sign kind of works best with, and the days of the week, and the magic. So it's actually been blowing my mind on my magic and spell casting. So it's been really cool. And then I did this kind of like this galaxy kind of mixed with purple and greens, and I think it came out cool. So here we have the S spots. And so the S spots I did from January to December, and these are just the full moons of those months, and I also did the astrology signs for those months, and I just did what they kind of mean, and I found these symbols and I just resonated with them so much. So I did include the blue moon as well. So really, really cool to find out what like in September we had the harvest moon, and it was about action, prioritizing mental, emotional, and spiritual clutter and balance. So that was so what this month was about. So really, really exciting. So that's my S-Spot page. Dope, 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 dope. Okay, and then we have moon phases. Yes. So I used a little bit of color there at the end, but black and silver for sure. And it's just the moon phases. And I normally always start with the new moon, but I think when I was doing it and I was writing all the information, I think the word first threw me off, so I put the first quarter first. But I always start with new moon, but I left it. So new moon's here, so it kind of goes for here down this way for me. But yeah, of course, it just has the name and a little bit brief description of what it means and what energies I need to work with spell moon magic. So I loved it. Very cool. So here's the part that I'm really excited about, because this is the first time working with sigils again, and working with the stars and planets. So I did all the different, I think there are 15 different star sigils, and they all have the different meanings, and then I go into the planets, and so it was really fun to kind of copy them and kind of figure out what energies I want to put in here. And like I said, it really, really helps, especially with protection, magic, and manifestation. So I love it. I love it. And it looks so cool. Very exciting. And then, so here's that where I tested it with the marker. So I think on these sides where it bleeds, I'm going to do some kind of art collage work, or maybe just like a painting of something. But here we did sigils. And so this is the rows of 22 petals, and it was all in Hebrew letters, I believe. So I changed it all up to work best for me. So I did of course, the English alphabet in a spiral, and I just included my name, Silver Moon, and this is a sigil for Silver Moon. Then I created of like removing the vowels and the repeat letters and created my own sigil for Silver Moon. And I used numerology to create Silver Moon, the number. It's my sigil using this magic squares, and I found out my numerology number for Silver Moon is 3, which that fucking rocks. So that's that. It's really cool. And so again, the Olam, I felt it was definitely the goddess with the trees, even though it's a little bit kind of could be like for Kerunos, but I just felt like it was more of a feminine nature. So I included them here. And I did the same step, but this one I include the skull here. And I did the ombre effect with the black into silver. But I think it looks really cool. and I can't wait. And so this is as far as I got with her. So eventually I think it's gonna look cool when they kind of all meet up and be filled. But this book has actually endured quite a lot of work, and I'm really excited of its sturdiness, and it's awesome. So I got this book at Michael's, and I don't remember how much I paid. I think it was maybe like 16 bucks. I can't remember, but it's been really cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little preview. I will keep you updated the more that I do it. I kind of been working on it kind of vigorously this past month. So yeah, so I'll definitely do another update and go a little bit more deeper as I finish it. So yay! Thank you guys for joining me for this video. Again, I hope you like it, and if you like these kind of videos, please like, subscribe, and share, and comment below on either this video and what other videos you would like to see from me. So again, blessed be.